Joining me now is Susan Solomon, also an author. So we've got 3 authors in a row here, and each one has their own unique thing. Now, Susan, one of the cool things I think personally about Susan is that her books are very local. So if you're a local reader, you're reading things, and you're like, hey, that's a thing that I know. So whereas Josh, from our last interview, created his own world, created his own thing, Susan's got to have some landmarks in there that you might know, because from what she was just telling me before the camera started rolling, she kills people in Niagara Falls with a sense of humor, which is like most of the people in Niagara Falls.
And I can't go to jail for it.
And she cannot go to jail for it because it's fictional, right?
That's right.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Thank you so much. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing well as well. Before we really get into the interview, I want to say thank you for offering your books as a giveaway for tonight.
It is my pleasure.
The event and the charity for this evening is a really important, worthwhile cause, and it's wonderful to see artists helping artists. So thank you for that.
It's my pleasure, and to me that's very important.
Without a doubt.
I do a lot of work with Just Buffalo Literary Center.
Okay.
One of their aims is to bring along the next generation of writers.
Sure.
And I'm very proud to be part of that.
One of the neat things about writing is anybody can do it.
Exactly.
One of the frustrating things about writing is most people can't do it well. But if you're on to multiple books here and you've got a series, that would indicate that you're probably selling them, because if you're not, then why would you keep writing? Which would suggest to me that you're doing it well.
I hope so. My publisher seems to think so.
Well, that's
and
good.
I'm pleased about that. As a matter of fact, we're getting some marvelous reviews on them.
Excellent.
The first book called The Magic of Murder, and that's set in Niagara Falls.
Okay.
And that one had, I think at this point, has 45-star reviews.
Nice.
So I'm very pleased about that. And the other thing I'm pleased about is that all the royalties from that book are being donated to the Western New York Food Bank.
Very nice. Another worthwhile charity.
It absolutely is. I've reached a point where I don't need the royalties to live, thank God.
Very nice.
And if I can do something to help my neighbors, and this is the place that we live.
Isn't it great to be in a position where you can do a thing because you love to do it?
Exactly.
And so, as I mentioned, our last 2 authors, they kind of created their own universes. You're dealing with things that we're familiar with, and I joked about killing people in Niagara Falls, which maybe is a poor joke. Sorry about that. But so there are locations, there are landmarks, there are things that people reading locally are going to know. But you know, if you're selling on Amazon, you've got 45-star reviews, that suggests to me that you're selling outside of just Western New York, which has got to be cool in and of itself.
It is, and one of the things that I aim for, and this was a comment that that one of the reviewers made, is that were they to visit Niagara Falls, they would be able to go around the area and see these
and
places
recognize
them. For example, if I can give a little bit of a commercial, the second book, which is called Dead Again, I managed to kill somebody in Como's restaurant. They know about it, and they still let me go eat there, which I think is very nice of them.
It is very nice, because being barred from the Como will be a horrible thing. Their food is incredible.
It is.
So yes.
We go there several times a month and enjoy it. As a matter of fact, when I first moved up here, and this goes back, more than 20 years now, we ate in the Comos while we were getting an office set up and finding places to live. We ate in the Comos almost every night for 2 weeks. To the point where they knew us when we walked in, and we didn't get a menu, they knew what we were going to order.
Now, are you from the Falls?
I was actually born and raised downstate.
Okay.
I was born in Queens, the borough of Queens.
All right.
And then spent a good portion of my life on Long Island. And you can always tell a Long Islander because we pronounce the word L-O-N, new word, G-I-L-S-A-N-D.
Okay.
It's an accent I've tried so hard to get rid of, and I just can't do it.
You can write with no accent, so that's nice.
I can write with no accent.
So when did you move to Western New York?
I moved up here during a blizzard in 1999.
Okay.
And within a month of being here, I knew I was home.
Yeah.
I love this place. I love the people that live here. most of my family is living in Florida. They want me to move there, and I keep telling them, move here. This is home.
So you moved to Western New York in '99, and then at some point thereafter decided, I need to write books.
Exactly.
So what inspired it?
Oh, God. I had been writing most of my life.
Okay.
When I was, in junior high school, I was writing some strange stories. When I was in high school, I joined a rock band. I was a musician at the time. I was writing songs.
Awesome.
And I continued to write over time, although I practiced law in the entertainment field for about 25 or 30 years.
Which is how you can afford to live without the royalties.
Which is how I can afford to live without the royalties. And I did some writing while that was going on, but when I moved up here, I did some work on a grant for a charter school, and I wound up interviewing the people at Just Buffalo, who introduced me to their writers group.
Okay.
And that's the point at which my writing took hold and really took off.
Gotcha.
Within 3 or 4 years, I had my first published short stories.
Nice.
And since then, I've had a dozen short stories published online in online journals. And in 2015, Solstice Publishing put out my first murder mystery. They're the Emlyn Good Mysteries. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's what it's there for.
There are now 3 Emlyn Good novels, 3 Emlyn Good novelettes, all available in paperback and in Kindle. And you can get them all on Amazon. And we're getting wonderful reviews from them all. But most recently, I wound up doing something very strange for me. And I moved away from the mystery genre that I absolutely love, and I've loved since I was a child.
Right.
And I wrote a paranormal romance, which came out less than a week ago.
Okay.
This one is set in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Okay.
In a bed and breakfast.
It is romantic.
It is romantic. And it does speak of a good deal of the history of this area, including the Underground Railroad. And that took an awful lot of research. And the more I researched, the more I learned about this wonderful place in which we live, the more I fell in love with it.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cool things, historically speaking, of the greater Niagara region, if you will.
Absolutely.
So what made you decide to shift genres? You didn't really flip. It's not that big of a jump. But what made you decide to make that shift?
I don't know. Actually, this novel has been in the writing stage through various drafts for more than 10 years. And I would do a draft and it would go into the drawer. I'd take it out a couple of years later and I'd look at it and do a little bit more work on it, do another draft. It developed, sometime back in 2003, the man I was working for, he owned a bed and breakfast, and he asked me to do a short romance that he could leave out in the rooms for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I did a story.
That's an odd commission, but okay.
Okay, he knew I wrote, and I did. And it was called Abigail Bender, and it was about this ghost that lived in the bed and breakfast that he owned. And that was nice, and he put it out, and the people enjoyed it. And a few months later, as we came up to Halloween, he came to me and he said, Susan, the ghost that you wrote about that's in the house, is that really true? I said, I'll tell you what, Charlie, just leave it to me. I took the short story, I broke it into another short story that featured the bed and breakfast.
Right.
And I sent it to the local ghost walk people with a letter from me that said, this is absolutely true, I met the ghost, it happened to me. The devil has me by the collar, I'm going south 10 minutes after I'm dead, I know this. But that story, when I was sitting with it, and I came across a competition in a journal called the Writer's Journal.
Okay.
They were looking for short romances. I said, why not? I submitted it. It got an honorable mention. It was my first published short story.
Nice.
Years later, I broke that story out into a novel, and I've been working on it ever since. And earlier this year, I again took a look at it, and as I did, I said, is that what this is really about? And the lights went off in my head.
I know. I know the sensation.
Yeah. The next draft was done within 3 months, and I ran it through the novel writers group that I belong to. They were enjoying it, and I sent it to my publisher. I was very nervous about this because I don't generally write romance.
Right.
Although most of my books focus on relationships, but not a romantic relationship.
Understood.
And then the editor that worked on the book sent me an email, and he said, of the 80 or so books that he'd edited, he thinks this is the best.
Nice.
That made me feel
I can only imagine.
lot better.
Yeah.
So this new book is called Abigail's Window.
Okay.
It just came out. It's also available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. And in the week plus that it's out, we've had a couple of 5-star reviews. And one woman wrote to me on Facebook, and she hollered at me. She said, I started reading this book in the evening, and I was up half the night. I couldn't stop reading. So I wrote back.
That's what a good book does.
Yeah. So I wrote back saying, I'm not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
That's exactly it.
So if people want to find your books, obviously they're on Amazon. They just search for you by name?
They can search for Susan Lynn Solomon by name.
All right.
I think there's enough of me all over the net that I'll come up in Google. If you go to Amazon, Susan Lynn Solomon, you'll find my books.
All right.
There are now 3 novels in the Emlyn Good series, plus 3 novelettes, all in the series. The same characters. My narrator is a woman who, at the age of about 40, just learned that she is a direct descendant of Sarah Good, who was hanged as a witch in Salem. So you have a little bit of that involved, and a lot of research that went into that.
Right.
Both the kind of herbalism that Sarah would have practiced, as well as what was going on in Salem in 1692.
Huh. Very cool. Susan, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you so very much. It was my pleasure.
I'm glad to have you.
Thank you.